deployment is going to be given.
That's what they're saying.
Yeah, but Semujju, you used to be a security reporter, and you're one of the people who covered the military, the police so much. What do you read into the president's reshuffle at such a time as this?
First of all, when Muhoozi Sabit was deployed in police, I told people to be very careful about his particular assignment. Did he go there to grow police, or he went there to have it downgraded? Because police under Kayihura had assumed a lot of importance. That's why its budget rose from 300 to 600 to about 1 trillion shilling. In terms of unarmed group, in terms of importance, it became at one time even more important. Kayihura at one time behaved as if he was also the commander of the military. And I think Mr. Museveni now, in my own view, and I'm not saying I am right, he sent there Muhoozi Sabit to have it downgraded to its level. That's why now he can afford to have a Lokech and Ochora heading it.
But he's replacing Paul Lokech is coming in. He's also a soldier.
Exactly.
It's a major general.
That's the point I want to make next. That SFC has never been commanded by anyone outside Western Uganda. From its inception of the Kano Kakaguma of Byaruhanga Akanga to the Chihandas to present. From the time it was small as a unit of 500 people to 600 as a presidential protection unit, to when it became a brigade. Of course, at the time it was a brigade, it had the numbers of a division, 7,000 and more. It has never been commanded by anyone outside the Western Uganda, to Donna Sabiti, to Major Batumbia, to everybody. Because Museveni set out, and he did not hide, to create an army within an army. And he kept saying in their meetings, this army of Sale. So the one of Ruero that you recruit following the constitution was an army of Sale. When he met a committee on presidential affairs headed by Salam Musuma in Soroti, he said his army had helped to defeat Konye. Your army had failed. And you can ask Salam Musuma. They went as a committee on presidential affairs to meet him. He said, you come to Soroti. So this army, SFC, because if you read the constitution says Parliament must regulate the army, and that's why Parliament enacted the UPDF Act. Under the UPDF Act, the forces of UPDF, the land force, the air force, are supposed to be set up by Parliament through an act, and they were set up. I asked Chionga when I was sitting on the Committee on Internal Affairs and Defense, tell me, because they had drawn a chart of UPDF command, put Muhoozi Kainerugaba at that time at the same level with the command of land force. So I asked him at this unity called the SFC, and they told me it is a force, the same way you say land force and air force. And that's why it is being commanded by a lieutenant general. That army was never set up by Parliament. Nobody knows how it is financed. Nobody knows how you get recruited into it.
Isn't it a branch of the UPDF?
It is not. Branches of UPDF are determined by law, not by Museveni. They had to go and read the UPDF Act. We set them up as Parliament. Museveni cannot change them. The land force, he cannot wake up today and say land force now has become marine force. It can only be done by Parliament under the UPDF Act. So this army is not in the law. It is his army. It is as controversial as the recruitment and promotion and deployment of his son. The first time Agura Ward says Museveni's son is in the army, he said, no, my son is LDU. Then Gaddafi visited Anatkoro, he promoted him to major. When you are promoted in UPDF, every single soldier has a file under the Chief of Personnel and Administration. When you are promoted, there is what they call the General Administrative Order, showing reasons why you are promoted. The file of Muhoozi Kainerugaba does not have a single General Administrative Order showing reasons for promotion. Today in the army, you cannot, by the UPDF Act, they are not there. The same way the file of Kataha disappeared in Makerere when she got admitted without qualification. It is not there. So the the UPDF Act says to be promoted within a year or 3, you must have some exceptional circumstances. There are people whose every promotion has been by exceptional circumstances. The embodies the Kainerugawa. Because you can't jump a rank until you have served for 3 years, and you can't stay on the same rank for 10 years under the UPDF Act. So all those are not followed. So therefore, coming to make sense of these changes, they don't represent any significant shift. Muhoozi Kainerugawa was under punishment, and the details I cannot say on air, but he was under punishment.
You will tell us of
So I think the punishment has ended. He goes back to command an army, private army of his father. Muhoozi Sabit, in my view, has completed his assignment of having police downgraded, and it can now be commanded by Lokechi and Ochora. So therefore, the totality of this, first of all, you need to understand how Museveni works. People think he's fixing elections. No, Museveni is now post-election. These elections, he knows how he has fixed them. So the changes you see, and that's why you saw recently Muhoozi Kainerugawa was making a lot of political statements. I think to say now, I am not going to repeat the mistakes for which you made me a senior presidential advisor. So Muhoozi goes back to where he belongs, to command an army. I think Museveni can only entrust his security. From the days of Arona returned from Tanzania. That's when the Chinovese, the Dick Richards were chased from Sister House. 10 of them Bagana officers. At that time, Museveni was surrounded by many of them. When Aronda returned after finishing a course on intelligence in Tanzania, he said, how can you be surrounded by Bagana? And 10 of them, I think either Richards, one of them, ran is still in London, because it was very difficult to leave PPU and then to be integrated in the former army. So a decision was taken and they all left and the building continued. No any other person has ever commanded the PPU, PGB, SFC from outside, and nobody will ever. Because that army is not Sale's army. It's not your army, as Museveni told Salam Musumba. But it has grown in numbers to a division, to a force, actually, now not a division, because UPDF has 7 divisions. 5. SFC is at the same level with the regular army. So that army is responsible for not only securing the family, but also securing power. It is no longer, and I see you making mistake, that security of the president. Where? It is now security of power. That's the job. Because when you ask SFC, who constitutes SFC? I think all the fighting, serious military units, the mechanized brigade, the artillery and machine, everything serious now is under SFC. So this army was emasculated. I think they only carry AK-47.
Okay, thanks for that analysis. The reason why I gave you more time is because you're grounded in security issues. Charles Bichachi, weigh in on these changes. Semujju doesn't think it's about elections.
I think they are about elections. If you look at, and I agree